Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tessier of WrestleZone.com. I'm here to talk all about the WWE Day 1 pay-per-view on Saturday night. Yes, it is Sunday, so this is a day after Day 1 show here, talking about all things Day 1. Obviously, a very memorable, controversial, bittersweet show, if you will. Obviously, lots of stuff going into the show, coming out of the show, and everything in between. Going to talk all about it across the board here. Before I do, just want to remind you all of this show, like everything we do here, is available on all of our streaming platforms, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever it may be. We've got you covered. So leave a like and subscribe. And I guess a bit of a disclaimer: I didn't watch this show until earlier today. I watched it basically two chunks, as I said, during the Raw and I think it was the NXT post show. Saturday is one of my few days off, so I was not about to go and drop 3 hours of my time on a day off watching this show. Unfortunately, I had a lot of it spoiled for me in terms of I saw the headlines about Brock Lesnar winning, about obviously I heard about Roman Reigns testing positive. Gonna talk all about that, obviously. But no, I did not see it live. I watched it after the fact, and maybe that was for the best. You know, I got the chance to kind of just to watch it, to dig into it, and just kind of, I don't know, to be aware of what happened and then be able to kind of see how the show executed it. Lots of comments already pouring in. I appreciate it. Nick Bathen saying Brock Lesnar, the New Day killer. I'm going to talk all about that. Don't you worry. Bit Milligan saying, good evening, Con. How are you doing? I'm doing well, Bit. Thank you for asking. Hope you're doing well. As well as I am, as well as can be considered. And Brian saying, Happy New Year. Yes, everyone. It is now officially 2022. It's January 2nd as I record this. So a very happy New Year to you all. Here's to a wonderful new year in 2022. Obviously, day one, as the name suggests, it's on day one of 2022. I think many of us, if not all of us, are hoping for. I don't want to say a better show, but obviously we didn't even get the show we were advertised, and we had talked all about that on the Raw show, on the NXT show. There had to be some safe prediction that like something was going to go wrong, something was going to happen, and unfortunately, I guess I might as well dive right into it. It was at the top of at the literal top of the card, but right before the show, Saturday afternoon, the very unfortunate news broke that Roman Reigns, the reigning Universal Champion, tested positive for COVID, so he'd be unable to compete in the supposed main event or one of the main events against Brock Lesnar. That was a match that I was very much looking forward to. National already chipping in, saying that COVID still got us in terms of, well, in terms of the show, in terms of the real world, if you will. But we're trying to soldier on as best we can here. But Ben Milligan saying overall here the show was okay, and I would agree with that general sentiment. But obviously, yeah, that news right off the top, even for me, as I didn't watch it live, just knowing, oh wow, Roman Reigns just tested positive. That's so unfortunate in a number of ways for the show itself on Saturday, for the fair assumption that that there would be something else kind of coming out of day one, assuming we would see something else with Brock and Roman. Brian Everett saying that he was looking forward to seeing Roman, as we all were. I think obviously Roman is the needle mover, as he says. He's the head of the table. He's the guy that people go to see, whether if you're a live fan, if you're watching from the safety of your home. People watch the shows by and large, I would say, for Roman Reigns, among a select few others. So to have him get pulled from the show last minute like that, very unfortunate. And now it's a question of what do we do next. Now, obviously, we'll talk about the results of the show, how they pivoted, but overall here for the Roman Reigns situation, DJ saying WWE should have had Roman relinquish the title to Brock and then have Reigns win the Rumble, get the belt back from Brock at WrestleMania. I mean, on paper, that sounds cool. I like the idea. It's just with the COVID situation right now, especially with Roman Reigns, as someone that's immunocompromised, you just don't know. Obviously, the CDC guidelines always changing. The general just narrative or understanding of the pandemic is always changing. I don't know, and I'm not going to speculate exactly what's going to happen next. I don't know if Roman's going to be out 2 weeks and then come back. He tweeted, that he's eager to come back as soon as possible, but obviously that is a vague thing to say, which is fair of him to phrase it like that, because possible could mean a number of things. Possible in terms of when things are under control again, possible in terms of when he's not symptomatic, or even if he's not symptomatic, or just when he tests negative again. I don't know. Nobody, sitting on the outside, nobody here knows what that's going to look like. But if I had to guess, I don't know. I hope he's back in time for the Royal Rumble. That is just later this month. We're here at the onset of January. The Rumble is the very end of January. So the idea about him coming back for the Rumble, I think that's a fair prediction. If that means he's back the week before the Rumble, if he comes back after, I just don't know. But obviously, Nasha, as we all are, saying she's worried about Roman given those underlying health issues. And I said about Seth Rollins last week, if you're someone in that position, he's someone that has kids, that has a family, you have to wonder, even if obviously there's the money and there's the performance and everything, why, he could easily make that decision of, I'm just gonna wait it out and be safe and protect my family. So I don't know. And obviously he has every right to make that decision that's best for him and his family, whatever it might be. And that's no one has the right to really judge anyone in that position. So whatever does happen, I want the very best for Roman as a fan. I'm a big fan of his. I've made it no secret of that. But kind of on the flip side, Nesha, we talked about this as well on the Raw show, saying she was surprised that Seth was there. Obviously Seth had tested positive. I think that was last Sunday. So definitely a quick turnaround. We talked about that. I said the same thing about Seth. I was like, he could make that decision saying, I've got a family, I've got a baby at home. So maybe he could decide to say, okay, I'm going to sit it out and wait. But no, Seth was there. So I'm assuming, at least in theory, he tested positive and he was good to go. And I think the show was better for it in that sense. We had a great main event. Maybe other than the finish there, we'll talk about that. Don't you worry. But yes, with all these things, with Brian Everett saying health does come first. He's saying if he's in Roman's shoes, I would agree for myself personally. It's really unfortunate across the board here. We've seen this surge affect Raw last week. Now it affected day one. I guess silver lining, this was the only clear way that day one was affected specifically that I can really see in terms of someone being advertised and not being able to make it. But definitely obviously disappointing that it was Roman, that it was the main event. I've been saying every time we talk about it, been a big fan of the Roman and Brock storyline, been a big fan of what they've been doing, I was hopeful and excited about what would happen next. And now again, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if he's going to be back again 2 weeks from now, if he's back for the Rumble. Obviously, this is now officially the road to WrestleMania. So, it is that time that you would want your main eventers, your world champions to be on every show, to building up these big matches. Not just saying Roman's my man crush. No, Zack Ryder has that distinction, but Roman definitely a big fan of his. I've really enjoyed the run he's on. I enjoy SmackDown a hell of a lot more with him on it. And again, I guess the fact this happened to him, I would say it's probably the most disappointing. Again, other than a small short list of other people, if it's happened to some of the other the main event talents, it'd be disappointing no matter what. But no, I do really like Roman. I do really like the main event, the run he's been on. So it is disappointing. I hope that he's back as soon as possible, as soon as he's comfortable with whatever it might be. DJ saying that Roman, he's conquered many other things. He did have cancer. He came back from that. You just don't know. I don't know. So very much hoping the best for him. Next, asked about John. John went to I think it was the Penn State or I think it was the Outback Bowl in Florida. I forget which exact one in Florida. That was yesterday. He was traveling today, so he couldn't make it. But I want to make sure that I hopped on and did a show. Given this, the Roman stuff, the Brock Lesnar stuff, lots of stuff to talk about. But obviously the schedules didn't quite line up. I want to make sure that I did a day one show specifically before the Raw show tomorrow, because it's worthwhile all on its own. But with all that being said, we might as well just dive right off into the big story of the show here on Roman Reigns, because it naturally feeds into the fact that as soon as Roman Reigns announced he tested positive, the WWE quickly announced that kind of as in response to that, Brock Lesnar would be entered into the WWE Championship. At that point, the Fatal 4-Way, then subsequently a Fatal 5-Way match. Now, if you're a skeptic, which WWE has probably turned many of you into, myself mostly included, you would probably see that news and think, oh no, they're going to put the title on Brock Lesnar. And yet there was also a part of me that was like, okay, it's a Fatal 5-Way match, first fall of the finish. So, have someone pin someone else. Brock doesn't get pinned, and it's very easy to say, okay, we're going to roll on with the Roman Reigns stuff or do something else, and whatever happens next, happens next. But no, Brock Lesnar won. And I've had time to think about this. I'm not upset that Brock Lesnar won, and then not like on paper. In terms of the specific situation on its own, I'm not upset about that. And that's just saying right away here early in the show that Kevin Owens should have won. We talk about that on the Raw show. Yeah, I think that would have been very interesting. Probably of the options, the most unpredictable. I thought it was a very fun match. I thought, Brock entering it added even more unpredictability. I thought that everyone looked great. I thought everyone got a chance to shine. I thought the match told a great story. This is the kind of match I would have loved when I was like a little kid or first getting into it. It's you've got like these top 5 stars in the same match. Like I used to play the WWE video games all the time. This is the kind of stuff that I would have just loved to play. In terms of just having the biggest, or if you're for the action figures, the biggest like action figures in your box, the biggest stars. Just play with them, see what happens. And that's kind of like I feel like that's kind of what they did here. It's like, okay, we've got Brock Lesnar now. Roman can't go, so let's put him in this match. So like on paper, it's a lot. It was that alone was very fun. I think the match delivered. I thought it was a great main event. A little short in terms of I thought the match was a little short change in that sense. It's like if you're gonna have this epic fatal 5-way match, I would hope for something a little longer. Really just kind of build it up a little bit. And there were several near falls. There were several cool sequences. Lesnar got speared through the barricade by Lashley. There was one sequence where Lesnar just F5'd everybody. And then he got speared by Lashley. But when he was F5'ing everybody, I thought, oh, they're just going to have him win like that. But no, the match went on. You got several things of storytelling. Owens and Ron's working together, as we've seen them doing recently. So I like that continuity. It was a lot of fun. I like that. And then I had spoiled. I knew Lesnar was going to win. So at that point, I was like, okay, how's it going to happen? And we're going back and forth. And he finally F5's Biggie. That's the problem to me. All right. Again, it's a fatal 5-way. Got 4 other people. Couldn't you have pinned Seth Rollins? Even Kevin Owens? Guys have taken many pins, even lately on Raw. I would understand wanting to protect Bobby Lashley, a guy that's been built up as a powerhouse. I'd understand. And again, Brock won, so you got 4 other options. It just, why would you pin Biggie in this case? Like, and to me, there's that side of it. And also, again, Reigns tests positive on Saturday, so they have to kind of do a last-minute drastic rewrite of the plans for Reigns and Lesnar, and they opted to put Lesnar in this match. So that means that Big E's historic, wonderful, amazing WWE Championship reign ends at the drop of a hat, just because they wanted to put Brock in this position. Like, I struggle to think that this is going to really benefit Big E moving forward. It was very clear based on what happened at the end of the match. Well, Lesnar pins Big E, and then he has a very they literally zoomed in on it, a stare down with Bobby Lashley, and that's great. Like, we've been talking about it for a while. They should completely roll with Lesnar and Lashley. That's the match everyone wants to see. I'm talking all about WrestleMania. I think that's one of the few big dream matches they've got left. Do that. Great. Cool. I think a lot of people like to see that. I think that'd be great. Did they have to pin Big E to do that? No. Because now I think, what's next for Big E is I would assume he'll get a rematch. He's going to lose that. Like, it's just frustrating because you don't trust them to do right by Big E in this case, because instantly many people jump to the fact that we saw this play out with Kofi Kingston. Brock Lesnar comes in, beats Kofi Kingston off of Kofi Mania in the several-month reign, beats Kofi in, 8 seconds. And someone mentioned it earlier on the show, Brock Lesnar, the New Day killer, comes in, he beats people that the fans really like, that really rally behind. Big E was pretty easily, he established himself as the top babyface on Raw. Brock comes in, again, at the drop of a hat, just because Reigns tested positive like that, and they opted to pivot in this way. It's definitely fair to criticize. Like, anyone that's out there on Twitter, really upset about this, I think you're entirely valid in that. I'm upset about it as well. And Brian agreeing with what I'm saying. He's saying Big E didn't have to take the pin. He got beat like that. Feels bad for him. It's rough. I mean, if you're thinking in Big E's shoes, you're out there going to the show on Saturday, going to be a great show. A couple hours before the show, you get handed the notice. Oh, you're going to be losing the title tonight, because this is the situation we're in now. It sucks. It sucks as a fan. I feel bad for him as a performer, someone that I thought has been doing so well. And now, obviously, the question of what happens next. Stephen Chambers saying we could see a triple threat match with Brock, Big, and Lashley at the Rumble, or Brock and Lashley one-on-one at the Rumble. I really have to think that worst case if Roman isn't back like soon, that they're going to want Brock and Bobby Lashley to be the big WrestleMania match. Could that mean we get that triple threat match? Maybe. Or could that mean they're going to really want to try and build it up more longer term? Also possible. Basically, WWE likes to be very, very blatant. So the fact we got that stare down right after the match there, you don't really trust them to draw it out like that. So I think maybe we could get the Royal Rumble, but then you do have to wonder about WrestleMania. And then Steve Chambers saying it'd be cool if Big E goes on to win the Rumble. Maybe in a perfect world, maybe he goes on to beat he goes on to beat Roman Reigns anyway. I think that's cool. I want to see that last year, so that'd be kind of a fun, I don't know, I guess kind of a full circle kind of thing, because I always thought he would beat Roman, so I guess that'd be a very solid consolation prize for losing the title here. But yeah, I mean, that's asking, you have to wonder what would have happened if Brock didn't get added, if the card happened as advertised. I think that's a fun what if game to play. And I thought, we talked about on the Raw show, I thought Owens had a good chance. Rollins, maybe. I still thought Big E could have won the match. Mark Williams saying he thought Big E was going to lose regardless. I think that's valid. John talked about it a lot on the Raw show. For a couple of weeks now, he thought there's, at some point on the way to WrestleMania, Big E would lose. At some point before then, that he wouldn't go into WrestleMania with the title. So yeah, I think there's some valid, some valid thinking there. But man, I don't know. And now again, we sit here in a position where you don't know what's going to happen next. Brian Everett saying maybe you could see, a winner take all kind of thing. Chambers is champion at WrestleMania. I think that's one option. I think if anything, we've talked about it. I've been talking for months now. If anything, they should unify the tag titles. Definitely the mid-card titles. I don't think we need two of those at this point, based on the way they're being used. I think they're just fine having two world titles. I think that'd be risky to unify them, because then you don't have that depth there. Jason Michael Campbell saying, haven't seen it since last year. Yes, hello, happy 2022. Here we are talking about day one, which was the first day of the new year yesterday. But another comment from DJ saying, saw a report about the Rumbles being in jeopardy due to the COVID outbreak and possibly the releases that we've seen over the last year. I mean, they have enough people. They can easily get 30 people across Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, both for the men's and women's division especially. I think they've done 20 women Rumbles in the past, so I'm not worried about that. If they were worried about that, I don't think they would have released all the people they did. But I haven't heard that myself, so I can't speak to the validity of that. But that's one. But hey, we know one person that will be in the Rumble, Johnny Knoxville. So there you go. And that's just the other surprise entries. Johnny Knoxville is one of them. That was one thing I didn't expect to get announced yesterday, but yeah, that's fine. Celebrity involvement and all that. Not exactly for me, but it's cool. It'll get some headlines and some buzz, I guess. They've got a new movie coming out, so it's fine. At this point, you just kind of roll with it and be like, all right, that's not like, he's obviously not going to win. It's like, it's whatever. It's not like it's the first time they're doing something like that, so whatever. I don't really have any. It's weird. Like I don't love it, but it's whatever. Steven Chambers thinks he's the number one entrant. Could be, get him out of there quickly. Whatever. Gotta point to what happens to that one. The Rumble is National point out several minutes ago. The Rumble is another Saturday pay-per-view. We're rolling into 2022, several Saturday pay-per-views, so definitely going to be doing things differently here in that sense. So. I mean, for me, again, I said it's a show. I don't work on Saturdays. I might have to change my schedule to accommodate all these Saturday pay-per-views. I don't know. But for now, this might be our new way of doing things. Because there will be some Saturdays and some Sunday shows, but we'll figure it out as we go here. Day one was Saturday, so that's why we're here to talk about it. Next, saying the Rumble's her favorite pay-per-view. I would agree. I always love the Rumble. It's the real kind of the Kickstarter to the road to WrestleMania. I hope that it will be, as special as we hope it is. It's the Rumble. I think that one has maintained its status as one of the big four shows. So Survivor Series not so much, but I think the Rumble itself got the Royal Rumble matches as we saw last year. Bianca Belair and Edge obviously winning. So it's cool. It's a historic match on all accounts. So here's hoping that the Rumble will be fun this year. But we're talking about day one to kick off the Raw, the road to WrestleMania in that sense officially, even though the Rumble traditionally does that. I didn't talk about the kickoff match. Honestly, I didn't watch this match. They announced, I think it was Thursday or Friday, that Cesaro and Ricochet would be facing Ridge Holland and Sheamus on the kickoff show. Now, I didn't really see much about the match other than the fact that Ridge Holland broke his nose, and thankfully they replayed the way he broke his nose and the end of the match during the actual show. So I saw that. What do I think about them teaming? I mean, I love Cesaro. I love Ricochet. I don't think they make any sense together. It's not like I look at them and be like, oh, yes, that makes sense. No, that's very much a thrown together team. I say it all the time. I want much better for both guys. Yet again, that's good for them in terms of, hey, they won this match. So sitting here tonight, I'm like, hey, they won a match. Maybe they'll be doing good things. Maybe they'll be chasing the tag titles, even unsuccessfully. At least they're on TV. They're both great. And actually, they didn't win this match. I'm sorry, I misspoke. They did not win this match. Sheamus beat them in what turned out to be a handicap match because after Ridge Holland broke his nose, he was pretty much removed from the match. And yeah, this was nasty. I heard about it. I had watched the show live. I heard about it. People were saying there's a lot of blood. I was like, oh, geez. So I didn't see that. When they showed it on the show itself, they just showed Ricochet's like boot hitting Holland. I'll have to look it up after the show here. Pretty nasty from all sounds of it. DJ saying they posted the broken nose injury on Twitter. Yeesh. I think that's the best way to describe it. Yeesh. And Brian saying it looked ugly for Holland there. Hope he's okay. Holland, I think, tweeted about it. I think, as far as I could tell, he's okay. Thankfully, it's broken nose. It's serious in terms of like it's not like a paper cut, but it's a broken nose, right? I think he'll be all right. As for the team here, Steven Chambers saying Cesaro and Ricochet are both great talents, but he does not like the direction they're going with them. And yes, that's the thing here. That is what I'm saying of like they're both great. And in one way, it's cool to see them together, but in another way, it's like they could both be doing so much more. So I think that's the disappointment there. So yeah, and especially they lost. So that's not a good look either. But yeah, I talked about the main event here. Very upset in the sense that I loved Big E's title reign. I thought he was doing great. I thought I disagreed with John. I talked about it for a couple weeks now. It's like I thought he should kind of get that spot of going to WrestleMania as champion. He's been doing very well. Someone commented a couple minutes ago that they thought Big E hasn't been doing a great job as a champion. I don't know if that's fair. I mean, the one comment was saying, yes, Mark Williams saying that Big E wasn't doing good as champion. Crowds are down, so that's why they're putting it on Brock. I mean, this is Mark. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm disagreeing with the general thought about judging a champion based on the gates and the revenues and everything. For me, like especially right now, it's a pandemic, and yes, things were better for a while. Big E won the title in September, so call it he got a little over 2 months, maybe like 2.5, with kind of some relative normalcy in terms of the crowds being back, things being quote unquote normal, at least as normal as they could be. But then December hits and the numbers start spiking again. Many people, or at least a solid amount of people probably thought, hey, I'm not gonna go to the shows as much, or the other thing. So I don't think it's fair to blame Big E for that. And for pretty much most of the time, if a champion doesn't have a good reign, my first instinct is look at the creative, look at the storylines. This man feuded with Dolph Ziggler for a little bit. He feuded, and then all that stuff. He got the Drew McIntyre, can they coexist thing. I like their feud kind of, and the match, especially going into Crown Jewel. But then he had this like tangential feud with Roman and the New Day stuff heading into Survivor Series. So like he never really got that chance to have a good reign. So I don't think that was fair. So as great as his win was, he kind of feuded Bobby Lashley as well. As great as his win was, I don't think he really got that fair chance to really have a good reign. And I think he made the best of it that he could. His promos were great. I thought he did great work. I thought he represented the company very well. Big E's great. I want better for him. Steven saying he hopes the Big E gets a rematch. I hope so too. But again, if he gets a rematch, it's Brock Lesnar. I don't think he's going to win. I think the point of this, someone commented earlier saying that Brock's probably going to put over Roman WrestleMania. At this point, my bet, if I had to really predict, would be that Brock will be facing and losing to Bobby Lashley or Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Roman, if he's good to go, feels like the more likely option because they were literally feuding heading into day one. That was the plan. Now they've had to pivot into something else. What that is, I'm not quite sure. Brock did say he thanked his advocate, Paul Heyman, for getting him into the WWE title match. So still kind of stirring the pot there of like something's going on with Brock and Paul and Roman, like, and we're yet to see exactly what that is. And so that remains very interesting to me. So I'm hopeful we'll still get that payoff. But for now, it's Sunday now. There's every reason to assume that Brock will be on Raw tomorrow and we'll be rolling with Brock as a champion. But yeah, 100% Brian saying Big E needs better booking, and National saying he deserves a rematch. Again, he deserves a rematch, but if he loses it, like that almost hurts him more. So I don't even know like what should do with him coming out of this, but he deserves better. That much I agree with. But let's roll on some other stuff. I could talk about all this stuff for much longer here. But okay, one last thought was that Steven saying yes, Brock in theory will help Raw with the ratings. That is good, and that is probably one reason why when they had the situation of Roman can't go. We need to figure out what to do. Let's put the title on Brock. That should help Raw ratings. Brock is a draw. But then you wonder about SmackDown, right? If Roman isn't good to go, does that mean Brock will be on both shows? Why would he be on SmackDown if he's on Raw? I don't know. But yeah, and again, part of the problem here is, this stuff is ongoing. We don't know who will be on Raw because of the COVID situation. If someone who else has positive, you just don't know. We're very much in this just like wait and see mode of like pretty much day to day of like who's going to be on any given show, how that's going to affect the plans. Because again, heading into day one, the plan was Brock and Roman. That didn't happen, and we've got to just kind of roll with the punches like that. So that is very much where we are right now, and we're hoping to see that make the most of it, and make the best of it as they can. And I think what happens at the Rumble will be very telling. But that is several weeks away. We're here and now, and we're here now to talk about Liv Morgan. DJ is asking Liv Morgan, do I think the dream is over, or do I see the storyline continuing? Well, folks, I have talked about it for several weeks now. I'm a big fan of Liv Morgan. I'm a big fan of Becky Lynch, but this storyline has just not been doing it for me. The promos feel forced. And they had the gimmick of Liv attacking Becky at the training facility, like something about just not really working. I don't know. The promos felt forced again. It's not the talent, it's the creative, just the way what they're having to say. Again, every time they replay the video package for this match, I'm like, this really hasn't been a great feud here. Heading into this match, a lot of people were predicting that Liv could win because that underdog kind of thing. I thought it was a good match. I thought she looked great. I thought, it was a good match for Becky. Did I really think Liv was going to win this match? No. John and I have talked about it a couple times here on the Raw show. If anything, I think Liv will maybe win the Rumble, and if they really want to try and to push her that way to kind of build her up enough so that by the time we get to WrestleMania, they'll finally be able to do that. But something about this hasn't worked for me. I think they really have to kind of reassess how they're booking her character, how they're writing the promos. I don't think it's quite working so far. Brian saying he was pushing for Liv, thought she improved mightily. Liv has improved in the ring. I think she's gotten better in her promos, but I mean, I still think they're not where they quite should be. And I'm not trying to knock her. Again, it's more so when you're handed less than ideal material, I think that's hard to overcome for anybody. And I think we've seen that with someone like Ricochet, someone like Liv Morgan here. If you're like a world-class talent on the mic, you can make anything work. If you're not like a world-class performer on the microphone, you're gonna probably struggle to really to make the most of these promos that they give you. So I think you see that from time to time, especially, or I should say, probably far too often in WWE. So I think Liv Morgan has suffered from that in that sense. And I thought it was a good match. I didn't really think that there was any chance Liv would win this one. As if there's a rematch at Royal Rumble, maybe. But if I had to predict, it probably would more so think that she might win the Rumble, or it might be more of a long-term project here. Although this run that she's had so far has been more beneficial in terms of just getting her in that spotlight. Obviously, I think I said this like 2 weeks ago, and now especially, not trying to make light of it, but the run Liv has had here has much more benefited her. Whereas Toni Storm and Charlotte Flair, Toni Storm lost decisively, didn't really get treated as a serious threat in the match, and then she requested her release, so she's gone. Whereas Liv Morgan, assuming all goes well, she'll be on Raw. She'll be set up to to be maybe at that secondary level of not a main eventer, but something a little step below that. I think that's a very good silver lining. So, again, if that's the Rumble or maybe a little further down the road, I think regardless, she won in the sense that I think she's proved herself, and her time may be coming sooner than it may have otherwise. So I think that's a very good thing. I didn't talk about this because we didn't do the SmackDown show. Yeah, it's very disappointing that Toni Storm, not just saying quit, she requested a release. I don't blame her at all. And the credit for that storyline with Charlotte Flair was not great. Was a storyline based around pieing each other in the face, and with Toni not getting. I don't think she got really treated like a serious contender to Charlotte. It felt like they were just kind of biding their time. I think anybody in that situation will be frustrated, and especially right now. You've got other options. You've got AEW. You've got a booming world of wrestling. Otherwise, so if you're not happy, and if you're that unhappy, I mean, why not just say, hey, it's not working? And especially the reports after the fact broke that WWE logically said, okay, we've released almost 100 people last year. We can't deny her request for release because, what would that say in terms of the way we're doing things? So if someone doesn't want to be here, and we reject that, but then we willingly. Or we just randomly and free willy cut people and waves. So I think they made the right call there. It's a shame that didn't work out with her. I think she deserved a lot better. I think she's very talented. I think she's going to be fine wherever she goes. She's wrestled over the world. There's surely a place for an AEW or elsewhere. So I think that'll be just fine. So, and I was just saying that she sees it as quitting. She did have a match. I think, if I remember correctly, she was released on Wednesday or maybe Tuesday, and whatever it was the day before that. She was challenging for the SmackDown title at a house show, and she just decided she had enough. You can say that's quitting. I think that's I don't know if I agree. It's more I would maybe more so that you reach that breaking point of this isn't working. I'm going to do something else, and for me at least I respect the decision and wish her the best in that regard. So, but again, the contrast of Liv Morgan being set up to succeed, whereas Toni Storm. It felt kind of like doom from the beginning in that sense. So, here's hoping Liv Morgan, that it gets better from here on out. I think this first kind of stretch has been beneficial, but not perfect. And I think, and many people hope that she will get that payoff. But otherwise, again, worst case, she's been on TV. She's been feuding with the Raw Women's Champion, and she's benefited from it. So I can't knock her on that one. And here's hoping that she'll do better from here on out. So we had two big tag title matches here on the show at day one. Both of them were very, very good. The Usos and the New Day kicked off the proper show. I thought this was very good. Usos and the New Day's a lot of history. They're both great. They're going to give you a great match every time. That's definitely the case here. Several good near falls. The Usos hit the Uso splash. The New Day had a couple good near falls. These two have been feuding for quite a while on SmackDown. So. And I think the New Day beat the Usos a couple weeks ago on SmackDown. This is one that I didn't really think the New Day would win, especially, I guess, in a way, especially because the with Roman being out, I was like, I guess they would want to have the Bloodline have somebody win on Saturday. So I think that made sense. Keep the Bloodline strong. A lot of you have already complimented this match. Steven saying it was a great match. Brian Everett saying they tore the house down. Yeah, this was a very good match. It's always good to start off a paper. Sidebar: they're not saying pay-per-views anymore. They're saying premier live events. So that is a new thing for 2022. They're premier live events, not pay-per-views anymore, because they're on Peacock now. So I think that makes sense. But no, the New Day and the Usos never disappoint. That's just saying it was a great match. It was very cool seeing them. The Usos won the match with the 3D, a tribute to the Dudleys. Pat McAfee calling it the 1D because they say it's since day one. Very fun match, very good match. They won clean. No fans or butts. Can't really say anything else. A lot of these times, when the wrestling's great, and especially on the pay-per-views themselves, the wrestling's great. I didn't have a problem with the feud. Kofi missed some time. He was on paternity leave. Comes back, gets a title match. Can't complain. Good match. I think we're ready to move on. I think SmackDown's got other teams. You got the Viking Raiders. If they want to build up Shinsuke and Rick Boogs, even Los Lotharios, they don't have a lot of depth, but I do think they have some other teams that could challenge the Usos here and there. But again, that's why I said earlier they should probably unify the tag title at some point. But good for the nudity here. The one thing I will say, and it's actually no, I think Kofi got pinned in this one, if I'm not mistaken. Might be wrong in that one. Not quite sure off the top of my head, but no, if Woods got pinned, I feel like he got pinned. I'm not sure. These things blur together. I think if Woods did get pinned, that's not good because he's the king. You shouldn't pin the king. Because you should kind of like protect the value of that and be like, okay, whoever beats the king would benefit from that, and maybe that's good for the Usos. But like to me, just being kind of old school, that means something. So you shouldn't pin the king willy nilly. But that's a very small thing. I thought it was a very good match, and I liked it a lot. Human Jay saying it was a fantastic match, and it was very good to start the show. Usos retain heading into the Royal Rumble season here, so good for them. Curious to see what happens with them. Kind of on that note, Jason Michael Campbell wondering if we're going to see them split up. If they're going to split up the New Day like the Rockers or any number of other teams. I mean, I hope not. Over on Raw, you've literally got 3 teams that they're either splitting up, teasing splitting up, or reportedly splitting up with RK Bro, Styles, and Omos, and also the Mysterios all reported to break up at some point soon. I don't think we need to carry that over to SmackDown. People always want to say, oh, let's break up the New Day. No, the New Day is the New Day. The New Day are friends. They're friends for life. It's like embrace the power of friendship. Have them be friends. Friendship is wonderful. And just, do that. Like you don't have to split up every single team. If they reach a point where it gets stale, have Woods, go off on a singles thing. Have Kofi go back to being a singles guy. But they don't have to break up and feud with each other. That WWE usually does that. The New Day can and should be one of the few exceptions. They're friends for life, no matter what. Big E went off. He's doing his thing overall. They're still friends. They didn't turn on him, and vice versa. Friendship conquers all. I think that's a beautiful thing. So, but on the flip side, not to contradict myself, but on the Raw side of things, Nesh Curse pointing out, yes, RK Bro, they won their match. The RK Bro defended against the Street Profits. Very, very good match. Migos, the musical guest here, accompanied RK Bro to the ring. It's fine. Good for that pop culture buzz there. Very good match. RK Bro and Street Profits, very, very good. I say it pretty much every week. Big fan of Montez Ford. I think he's great. The Street Profits are great. I like him a lot. This was very, very good. RK Bro wins. Nesh thinks she's surprised. I mean, again, I think that right now, we're sitting here, it's literally January 2nd. At the earliest, I would expect the first real sign of a split or clear tension between RK Bro to be at the Rumble. I think that writes itself, where maybe that'll be the first big kind of fracture. It's okay, maybe it's the Rumble and Riddle accidentally eliminates Randy Orton, and that kind of sets it off there. And then that will lead to WrestleMania match. I have to think that's what they're going to do. It makes too much sense not to. So, I just feel like that writes itself. They really should do it. I hope they do it. I think that'd be good. It'd be a good feud, a good match for WrestleMania, just good all around. I hope they do that. So, Nesha, I see what you're saying, but I wasn't surprised that they won, and I would be surprised if they did split up everything last night. Especially, I mean, it's a Street Profits, so they could have easily won. It's they would have been clear underdog. Not just saying the Street Profits would be a good team to take the belts. Oh, I would agree, and I in a way I want them to. And they still could if they get a rematch later in the month. Maybe when we see those tensions start to unfold. I think we can see that. I think they're probably the leading contenders at this point. We saw AJ and almost break up. Otherwise, they've got the Mysterios, who are supposedly also going to break up. The Dirty Dogs, been there, done that, and Alpha Academy, which could happen. They've been feuding with RK Bro as well. So I think anyone would be good options. So just because the Street Profits lost here, I think they could easily win a rematch at some point, especially with maybe some of those tensions that we're talking about here. Very fun finish of the match. It was a pop-up RKO. That's what Human is saying. The RKO with Riddle, the layup was amazing for the win. Very cool spot. The RKO is one of the very best finishers in all of wrestling. I will not hear otherwise. There's so many cool ways you can hit it, and Randy continues to. So props to him for that one. Montez Ford, the man just gets air, whatever he does. If it's the frog splash or there's this little pop up thing, it's great. Great match here. Brian Everett saying it was really good. I would agree. Again, we had the Usos match was great. We had the RK Bro match was very good as well. Yeah, again, I can't complain with this. This one was much less of a feud. We had the Street Profits one last week, and then that was last Monday. It's not even last week, last Monday, and riding into Saturday. Not much of a feud, but more of just like a top team versus champions. Produced a good match. Can't complain. And Brian, we talk about this all the time on the Raw show. Yes, Montez Ford needs to be a single star. So talented, looks like a superstar. He's so good in the ring. The man does superhuman things. He just flies around. He's got the look. He's got amazing charisma. I just top notch. I think he's great. So I think maybe they've got like one more run as the tag team champions right now, and then maybe they could start to kind of test the waters for a singles run with him, because I think he would just knock it out of the park. I hope to see that as well. DJ saying RK Bro asked the fans on Twitter to help them name their finisher. I mean, if they weren't called RK Bro, I would say RK Bro makes sense for their tag team finisher name. But with that in mind, I don't know. I'm bad at naming things. I'm curious to see if you have any thoughts about what they should name that. Oh man, I don't know, because I would assume it has something with bro in it. I'm not creative, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what I would name that. I'm sure the internet came up with many fun possibilities there. But yeah, if they weren't actually called RK Bro would make a lot of sense. That is the extent to which I can think to name that. But curious to see what happens. Again, we had Pat McAfee calling the 3D the 1D. So maybe some kind of fun like that. Oh, who man saying the Bro KO? Yeah. I just think maybe they would want something too similar to the actual team name, because that'd be a little weird. Like the RK Bro hits the Bro KO. Like, they could. Bro KO, another one. Maybe, we'll unofficially call it the Bro KO there, because Human and Steven both saying it's Bro KO. So for all intents and purposes, we'll call it the Bro KO. Dangerous in the Air KO. I like that as well. If that's like the new finisher, I think it's cool. I think it looks really darn cool. I'll say that much. So can't complain with that one. A very good match. And again, can't complain with RK Bro winning. With that being said, we are on the home stretch here. Just two more matches to kind of run through here. We have one that I didn't like so much, one that I did. So we'll get the bad one out. Not bad. The less enjoyable one out of the way first. It was Drew McIntyre facing Madcap Moss. Now, if you've listened to our SmackDown shows, Robert and I have made it no secret, not a fan of the Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin stuff that we've been seeing for the past several weeks here. The corny jokes and just not good stuff. The happy talk stuff. They gave him promo time before this match last night, and boy, we had I think it was Madcap was cracking jokes, and he said, "What do you call a goat in Scotland?" Drew McIntyre's prom date. It's not good, folks. It's not good. And that's just saying Madcap I don't like. No, I don't like the gimmick. I think he deserves it. Drew McIntyre did an interview recently. Riddick Moss has been there for, I think, like 8 or 9 years at this point. So he deserves like a chance in the spotlight here. I think he's doing the best he can with really not good material, not a good gimmick, not good lines. So like on paper, he's facing a former WWE champion and Drew McIntyre. That's great. He loses. Not inherently a bad thing. It is just not a good gimmick. Like, I just think it has a short shelf life. It's hard to see a real kind of like best case scenario with it, but I mean, it's good for him to be on the show facing Drew McIntyre. Just the gimmick really just turns me off in a lot of ways. Steven saying that it was the best match has wrestled on just in WWE period. I mean, the bar is low, as I always say on the Raw show. I know he was doing the Riddick Moss thing briefly with Mojo Rawley in like 2020, and we didn't see a lot of matches there. So, with a very small sample size, I would say that this is probably the best match they had on TV. Brian saying it's a terrible gimmick. I'm not trying to knock it too much, but yeah, it's a bad gimmick. Steven saying it's a bad gimmick, but he's a good wrestler. Yeah, I thought he looked good in this one. I thought he and Drew had a good match. Baron Corbin is making the most out of it as well. But Nash is saying he does a great job with whatever he's given. I mean, Corbin, you can knock him. I have before. You can't knock the guy's versatility. He's gone from the Constable to the King to the sad sack Corbin to the happy Corbin. He's a jack of all trades. He's playing all his characters, and I think he's done great with each one, especially this evolution as unlucky Corbin to now happy Corbin. DJ saying Madcap has too much talent. Get him away from Corbin. Push him to the mid card scene. I mean, It's interesting. Like, we just really haven't seen him in terms of, like, again, he was with Mojo Rawley's kind of as his, like, his quote unquote offensive lineman. And he had a brief run as a singles guy there. But otherwise here, it's hard to like gauge for me at least. It's hard to like gauge because we haven't really seen what he can do by himself. But I'm sure he'd do great if he did get that chance by himself. I mean, I think he's doing the best he can with this, but again, it's just not good material to begin with, so it's hard to even gauge the talent because, like, this, the material being trying to be kind of less than ideal as it is, not great. But yeah, he did win 24/7 title, so he's got that to I don't know to that notch in his belt, if you will. But yeah, I very much liked necessarily that Bro Corbin was great. I really liked the Bro Corbin stuff. Now he's happy Corbin. Not liking it as much, especially the combination of Corbin and Moss here. It's not ideal. And now the big thing coming out of this match as well was that, or I guess one thing we were happy here, Steven saying he's not taking Happy Corbin, liking better when it's broke. I would agree. But also, Jason saying he's entertained regardless, no matter what character it is. I think there's a lot of merit in that as well. The big thing coming out of the match, though, was, as Drew points out, yes, reportedly, Drew McIntyre had an injury during the match, or at least he's dealing with an injury. So after the match here, not too long afterwards, later in the show, Drew is backstage, gives an interview, and he gets attacked viciously by Corbin and Moss. And Corbin, this one brutal spot, he and Moss wrap this chair around McIntyre's neck, and Corbin just slams the like part of the interview set onto it. This like metal, I don't even know, like huge metal bar, and just smashes his neck. That's the kind of thing that's like, all right, he's going to be out for a while. And, pretty clear. It's like, okay, he might, without even seeing that report, I was like, okay, like they might be writing him off for a while, which makes sense. He's the kind of guy that's like literally always been on TV for the past like year plus. So if it's due to a real injury as well, I would especially say, that it would be pretty clear that he deserves time off to begin with, and then if it's for the injury, yeah, that would be a pretty clear sign that he'll be getting written off for some period of time. I pulled up a report about it. They're not quite sure how serious it is right now. He's getting supposedly going to get tested for it. But yeah, reportedly this attack was to write him off, let him recover from an injury. How long he'll be out, I don't know. I don't want to speculate or provide information without having any to share. I don't know. I don't know if he's that's just saying one report saying he's been dealing with an injury for a while. If that's the case, hopefully he'll heal up. I don't know if he needs surgery. I just don't know. I haven't really heard any specifics about it, but definitely a big blow for SmackDown. Whereas we've had just in the past 2 days alone, Roman Reigns test positive on Saturday. Drew McIntyre is hurt, and I guess he needed time off, and that's a big loss for them because I think on paper they probably would have leaned more on Drew, especially with Roman being out of commission for at least the short-term future. Brian Everett kind of similarly saying that it's unfortunate because Drew was in line for a push. I mean, it already was, but I guess maybe push back to the title scene, maybe facing Reigns WrestleMania. I don't know. Yeah, I think that was a pretty safe prediction. I think I was thinking roughly similar thoughts in that sense. Steven saying it sounds like WrestleMania will be Drew's return. I'm not sure if you mean WrestleMania itself or maybe closer to WrestleMania. I mean, that'd be a big loss for them. He's been one of their top stars for quite a while now. So I hope that he comes back sooner rather than later, as soon as he can. Obviously, don't want to return him to rush back at the risk of worsening that injury, but definitely at a time when WWE is shorthanded as it is, and or could get more shorthanded than they already are. Definitely not a great time for that in terms of, I mean, these things happen all the time, and never ever blame the talent. I'm just saying the situation, it's unfortunate because of everything else that's happening around that as well. So very much hoping the best for Drew McIntyre and that he comes back as soon as he can, as soon as he's healthy and able to, and hopefully they'll be able to have a good WrestleMania feud and match. He deserves it. So there you go. But no, if he misses the Rumble, bummer, but hey, he won 2020. I think that's okay. If he's back in time for, maybe March or so, in time for WrestleMania, or if not, I mean, that'd be unfortunate, but definitely the health always comes first. So fingers crossed for him on that front. But yes, otherwise, I would assume, and based on what happened, you'd have every reason to assume he'll come back and feud with Happy Corbin. I don't really want to see that. Like, we've seen them feud before, and now they've already been feuding for a while. So I'm not thrilled about that. DJ saying maybe Drew will come back as a heel. That'd be something. Maybe kind of have him leave and then come back with a whole new, fresh coat of paint. I think there's something said for that. I like that idea as well. But yeah, definitely depends on how bad the injury is, and that's pointing out. And we just don't know. Yet again, another wait and see situation. So with that, last thing we have to talk about here is one of the things that I enjoyed most on the show. It was the Edge facing The Miz. Edge coming out with his Brood entrance. Now, at first, I thought, all right, why? We saw the Edge gave Miz the Brood bath on Raw with the wedding. Cool, it makes sense. He wants to embarrass him, fine. Then he comes out with the Brood entrance. I know he did it at SummerSlam. I'm not saying that. It's just like, what's the reason? Like it's not even this like heated, bitter blood feud. I mean, the Rollins one was. Rollins literally invaded Edge's house. This one, it's like, I don't really get it. But then they have the flames and everything, and it looks really cool. So worst case, it looks really cool. So I can't complain that much. Like the man literally walked through fire. He looked pretty darn cool. Brian Everett saying that the entrance was sick. It was pretty cool though. It was especially cool because he came out, he had the Brood entrance, and then he transitioned into his normal entrance, and he just let out this warrior like cry, this like scream. It was really cool. I liked it a lot. But obviously, the big takeaway, we had Maurice with The Miz, as she has been for several weeks. John and I have been saying for several weeks now, the ratings on the wall. Beth Phoenix is going to come out here at some point tonight. She did. So Miz and Edge were having a great match. I liked it a lot. This was just two main event talents doing what they do best. A match is where they're telling the story. Maurice was helping Miz kind of get in the upper hand. Several fun spots. Miz kind of leaped over Edge going for the spear, and there's a near fall when Miz hit the skull crushing finale. Lots of good stuff. The match got time. I'm looking right now. 20 minutes. The match went 20 minutes, and it was just fun. It was fun. Like they told a good story. I liked it a lot. And in the end, Maurice, the near fall I just mentioned, Maurice hit Edge. Miz hit the skull crushing finale. Near fall. Maurice tries to distract the ref again. Beth Phoenix comes out with her music. She chases Maurice away. So very, very clearly, this would seemingly, as we've been predicting for a while now, set up a mixed tag team match for the Rumble. I mean, yeah, they've got to. I have to think this, like, that is the very obvious direction forward. And as we say, sometimes the most obvious direction is sometimes the best one. So this is cool, right? Edge and Beth getting to work together. Miz and Maurice getting to work together for the first time in quite a while. That's cool, man. I think that's really, it'll be a fun story. We've got, I'm looking right now, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks before the Rumble. So if they take their time, build up a little bit without getting repetitive, I think it'll be a very fun story. I'm looking forward to it. Do you just think, if not the Rumble WrestleMania, again, I don't trust WWE to draw it out that much. Like that when they do something like that, they're going to want to kind of like build up and strike with irons hot and do it with some things, not with everything, but like that's going to be tough to draw it out. They're already feuding from, I think they're feuding for like at least a month ago, heading into this, and then they've got the Rumble just a couple weeks from now. I have to think that's going to be what they're going to be doing for the Royal Rumble there. But yeah, a lot of you are already saying it's great to see great to see Beth last night. Yeah, just nice, fun, nostalgia thing there. And it's cool to have her back. She's been on commentary for NXT, so cool to see her back. Maybe if they get a new name, it'll be Edge and Beth, the new Brood, if you will. Maybe we'll see more Brood baths, more Brood entrances. I think that'd be fun. So yeah, I think this is cool. Very, very fun match. I liked it a lot. I think that the match, assuming they do the mixed tag team match, will be fun. Yeah, but I good match. I'm happy Edge won. I said on the Raw show that I think Edge should have won. This way, assuming that he and Beth beat Miz Maurice Rumble, you can have Edge kind of move on to something else for WrestleMania season. What that might be, I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. Steven Chambers saying, we might see Beth get a title run. It's possible. Becky challenged Beth on Twitter. It really depends what the end game is. If it is this match, or if there's more to it, could she be in line for kind of a WrestleMania program? Maybe. I guess that depends. I think Nestor predicted earlier in the show, maybe we'll see Bayley return. I mean, once we see kind of how many of these moving parts are back, back in the fold here, that's one we'll be able to kind of get a bit of lay of the land in that sense. So, but no, if you're asking me directly, DJ's asking if I want to see Becky face Beth. I mean, yeah, I think that'd be good. Beth was I was first getting into wrestling during her run as like the Glamazon, so that'd be nostalgic for me. So I'd like to see that. I think that'd be fun. And Becky, big time Beck's doing all that stuff. If I look at Raw right now, they have options. As I said before, we could see we could see Liv Morgan continue to feud with Becky. They could circle back to Bianca. I don't really want to see that. Like at least not right away. They've got some other options. Rhea Ripley maybe. But otherwise, like, if they don't feel confident in those options, I think they could easily kind of go with a fun kind of nostalgic feud there with Beth and like a Legends match like that. So I wouldn't be against that at all, especially if Becky wins. No, I think that's fine. I think that'd be some fun storytelling. Maybe you get some like a first full circle. They do Edge starts doing with Seth again. Obviously, we saw that. Tie them in again. I think that would make sense at the risk of being a little repetitive. No, I wouldn't like that at all. Or sorry, I wouldn't mind that at all. I think that'd be very fun as well in terms of some things they could do. But no, I think I'd like to see Becky and Beth. That's one thing they could do, depending on if Beth is like sticking around. Other than the pretty safe bet they're going to do that mixed tag team match again. For me, I'll assume with the Royal Rumble. But otherwise, here's some thoughts about the Rumble. DJ is saying Maurice should win. In a way, that'd be fun. The kind of the classic like cowardly heel wins the Rumble. Maybe she's like out of the match for like the whole duration, and then she sneaks back in. They could do that. Maurice is a wrestler. She's a former Divas champion, of course. Not knocking that, but like right now she's in this manager role, and I think they might do this mixed tag team match. So I'm not quite sure if she's in a wrestling role right now, but she could be. She could be. No, not just saying maybe we'll see Bayley win and she'll face Becky. That's one match we haven't really seen a lot in the big time match in that sense. So I like to see that. If Bayley's healed up and good to go, I think that'd be a lot of fun as well. DJ's asking where the Rumble is. It is in St. Louis, hometown of Randy Orton. So in a way, that's why I think that we could have Riddle accidentally eliminate Randy in his hometown to kind of be the catalyst for this feud there. And again, things just they write themselves. I want to see it. This makes so much sense. I want to see that. I think that makes a lot of sense there. So there you go. More thoughts about the Rumble. Steven saying that the Rumble is probably going to have a lot of surprise entrants. I mean, especially with the COVID pandemic, with all the releases, they're going to have to, especially I think in the women's division, they're going to have to lean on NXT and some Legends entrants as well. And I think that's also fair for the men's Rumble as well. So I think, and for me, that's my favorite part. The fun people that whether it's NXT cameos or call-ups, or the surprises, like if it's just a one-off Legends return, it's always fun. You know they're not going to win, but it's fun. Just get a fun nostalgia pop. Can't claim with that. So no, definitely looking forward to the Rumble. Day one as kind of like a springboard into the road to WrestleMania. Was it controversial? Yes. Am I perhaps not 100% on board with Brock Lesnar winning the title? Yeah, I am not 100% on board. They got hit with a bad situation, and they had to pivot. This is what they did. It's not my job to say it was the right or wrong thing to do, but I am saying I'm not the biggest fan of it. As someone that just really enjoyed what Big E was doing, and again, just the way it went down. Again, with the not so distant memory of Kofi and Brock. That was just less than 2 years ago. So, we'll have to wait and see. Here's hoping that it does work out, but. We are on the road to WrestleMania, on the road to Royal Rumble. So for all these reasons, day one, scale of 1 to 10, I would probably say, again, even though I had the stuff, most of the show spoiled for me, maybe like a 6.7. I think that's pretty fair. It was a solid show. Both tag team title matches were great. I thought the match with Liv and Becky was good. The storyline, not so much. Drew and Happy Corbin, not so good. Edge and Miz was very, very fun. The main event was a very good match. That's like that really hit my inner child. I was like, this is exactly what I used to love when I was watching as a kid. So that was good. Didn't necessarily agree with the decision though. But I can't necessarily knock the whole show for that as a whole. So with that, I'll give it a solid 6.7. And I'm hopeful for even better at the Rumble, and I'm very curious to see what happens next. But some of you commenting as well. Steven saying a 7, Nessa giving a 7.5. So, Maybe I think in that case, maybe roughly average, maybe a little above average, depending on your kind of general your general bar for the pay-per-views or the premium live events now, as they're now known. But no, others enjoying it very much. DJ saying a solid 8.5. Main event was too short, needed to be at least 30 minutes. I mean, yeah, I was watching on Peacock this afternoon, and I skipped through the entrances, and and there was only like, I think, less than 20 minutes. Let me look right now. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm looking at Wikipedia. If that's correct, the main event got 8 minutes, which is crazy. Crazy. A fatal 5-way match got 8 minutes there. That's pretty crazy. But DJ saying 8.5, wishing the main event was longer. Herman with an 8 as well. Brian with an 8 as well. So, I mean, 8, to me, 8's kind of like roughly above average, not super great. Jack C saying Brock winning was a good idea. Wish Big was not pinned. That's it, right? Even if I would agree with Brock winning. I think that's like a solid pivot from what they had to, given what they had to do with Roman and everything. Craig with an 8 as well. So 8 seems to be a rough average here. Jack agreeing with 8.5. Brian with an 8 as well. Brian saying he thought the event delivered. But yeah, the big just sour note coming out of the show, they didn't have to pin Big E like that, and I think that's going to be what the show's remembered for, unfortunately. So hopefully they can kind of make the most of it. But yeah, Next thing was a decent show, over at a good time. Yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised when I looked at it this morning. It was, I think, 2 hours 53 minutes. That's a breeze for a WWE show. 253. Other than some of the at the middle of the pandemic, they're doing like 2.5 hours. Can't complain with that one. 253, pretty easy. Yeah, and Brian saying it was on Saturday. Yeah, I like it. Saturday show. For me, it's a little weird. Again, I'm not working, so it's like kind of throws me off my rhythm. But especially if you're like a fan watching, yay, it's on Saturday. You don't have to watch it on Sunday night and get up early on Monday. Cool, it's good. I think there's definitely plenty of good things to be had there. Blaine saying it was a solid show. Feel for Big E, though. Again, that's definitely the big takeaway. Love Big E. Great champion. Great performer. Seemingly a great guy. Boy, just definitely feel for him. I hope that he gets a good silver lining or consolation prize coming out of this, but definitely feel for him there. Nesha, fair criticism to wrap up here, saying that Brock could have been pulled as well, that we didn't need him. Again, they decided to pivot in this way. So I have to kind of like roll with that. Like, okay, that's what they decided to do, and here we are. I think that's fair though. If Roman couldn't go, you didn't have to have Brock at all. You could have just said, okay, this scheduled match won't be happening, and that's it. You didn't have to necessarily put Brock into another match, but that's what they did. We're gonna see what happens. John and I will be here on Monday night tomorrow night to talk all about it, and otherwise we'll be John and I will be here on Tuesday to talk about NXT. And beyond that, we've got a great stream of interviews constantly coming at you guys. Someone just asked me who my favorite wrestler of all time is. William Anderson with that question as we wrap up here. My favorite wrestler of all time is Zack Ryder, also known as Matt Cardona. Now that may sound weird to you, but yes, I loved him when I was a kid, and he's doing great things now. I've had the absolute pleasure and privilege of interviewing Matt Cardona twice now throughout the fall here. I interviewed him earlier in December to talk about Impact GCW. The man is doing so many things, talked all about it. A little sneak peek went up a couple weeks ago for a GCW show, but the full interview will be going up tomorrow. It's currently the plan will be going up tomorrow. Make sure to check that out. If he's just doing so much. If you're a fan of Impact or GCW or NWA, and he talks about his general career here. And yes, he's probably not listening to this, but yes, Matt Cardona, if you're listening, congratulations, because he got married on Saturday to Chelsea Green. They finally got married. That got postponed due to the pandemic. So yes, to answer the question and to plug my own stuff, my favorite wrestler is Matt Cardona. I think he's doing such great work right now. It's amazing to see. And I was very, very happy to have the opportunity to interview him. And so that'll be going up tomorrow. Make sure to check that out. And otherwise, all that stuff and more is available on all of our platforms. As I said earlier, SoundCloud, Spotify, all that good stuff. You know what it is. You just subscribe, leave a like. We appreciate you so much. I appreciate you all for listening to me ramble and rant on about this show and chiming in your thoughts, making it more fun to do so. Because trust me, I heard about Brock winning. I was a little upset, but getting to talk about it with you all makes it it's an easier pill to swallow. So I appreciate you all. I wouldn't be doing the show if not for you all. So I appreciate you so much. Seriously, to be genuine, I appreciate your support, for listening, for tuning in week after week. It means the world to me. So I thank you so much. And remember, the world is a terrifying place right now. And yes, DJ saying it's time to go back to football. I purposely did the show at 7 o'clock Eastern time so that we wrap up roughly in time for Sunday Night Football. So that being said, go enjoy football. And otherwise, yes, the world's terrifying, and we try to escape it through wrestling, but unfortunately, sometimes the pandemic and everything kind of rears its ugly head here in the wrestling world, and that sucks. You want wrestling to be an escape, but we just roll on as we can, and regardless of what happens, no matter what happens with it, we try to do one thing above all others, and as Brian never beat me to the punch, and yes, that is to enjoy wrestling. Thanks for listening, everybody.